Special Issue Task Force, how can I help you? And back joining us in the studio for Special Issue Task Force, Seong.
Hello, SJ, whose birthday was yesterday.
What?
Happy belated birthday.
Because Seong is the worst.
겨울에 태어난
Keep singing.
당신.
Keep singing. Go ahead, Seong.
Happy birthday to you. 생일 축하합니다.
No, keep singing.
I told you I lost my voice over the weekend. I'm
Guys,
serious, really.
if there's
I'm
a thing
glad that
that
it came back, but I really, seriously lost my voice.
I don't
over the
believe you,
weekend.
but if there's one thing you need to know about me, I don't know how to respond to happy birthdays and congratulations.
So every time I saw
And
you,
she knows
I
this.
said, "Happy birthday, SJ! It's your day."
When's your birthday? Is it July?
July. Oh, you remember?
I do remember.
Thank you.
I'm gonna have you the most embarrassing birthday ever next July.
I love being celebrated.
No, you don't understand. You don't understand the kind of embarrassment you're gonna go through.
Don't you feel loved? And
Yeah,
blessed?
I do.
Like whenever people say,
Yes,
"Oh,
I
happy
do.
birthday,
I do.
SJ."
I do. And you saw all that stuff that, was, Jenga sent in lovely stuff and I appreciate it.
Uh-huh.
I don't usually eat cake, but I ate it. Some of it was delicious. It had cream cheese in it. I love it. But I don't know how to respond to it.
Oh, just say thank you.
Because
Just learn how to say thank you
no,
when
because
you feel grateful.
No, because sometimes when people give you stuff, you can't accept everything.
No wonder.
As we will understand from our first issue that we're gonna go in through.
It's
you
some
can't.
random thing, but your wife posted a story today, and she's reading an essay titled "매일 이별." Every day saying goodbye. No wonder she's reading that kind of essay.
I don't follow her, and you know what? She might be lying because I know she doesn't
매일
read.
이별.
I know she doesn't read. So, am I gonna come out in Torsingers now?
I don't know.
Is that what's going to happen? As I said, we can't be accepting everything people give you because sometimes it will land you in trouble. And the first story that we're going to talk about is sending shockwaves.
But you accepted a wine from David yesterday.
It wasn't a bribe. It was a gift.
Yeah.
It was a gift.
Yes.
Just like the
It
bribe
was.
that you gave me and your husband gave me, everybody gave me. Investigators are now digging into not me, but alleged financial ties between the Unification Church, we call it 통일교, and several prominent political figures. We're talking about both in the ruling and opposition parties. This is going to be major stuff.
Yes.
Major stuff. Start us off by telling us what exactly is, how everything is unfolding so far.
Yes, so at the center of this story is an ongoing police investigation into allegations that senior figures within the Unification Church provided money and valuables to politicians in violation of bribery laws and the Political Funds Act. In recent days, police launched simultaneous raids at more than 10 locations, including the Unification Church's headquarters in Gapyeong, its Seoul offices, and the offices or homes of several former lawmakers. And what's particularly striking is that Han Akja, the head of the Unification Church, has reportedly been named as a suspect in the search warrants, accused of offering bribes and illegally providing political funds. And police plans to question Han during a visit to her detention center tomorrow, that is Wednesday. And this has elevated the case from a political controversy to a full-scale criminal investigation involving both religious leaders and politicians across party lines.
Now, I don't know if
Not
you guys...
just one party, but across the party
no,
lines,
it's multiple parties right now, and I don't know how extensive they're going to go into this investigation, but because the unification has been around, church has been around for a very long time, and I can't imagine this being just a recent thing. This probably goes back way back, way back. Right. And we're not going to go too much into the Unification Church, but there are documentaries about the Unification Church and how it's a very unusual religion. I'll just put it at that. I'm not going to use the C word, just in case. But who are the political figures involved and what are they accused of receiving?
According to investigators, several former lawmakers are suspected of receiving cash and luxury items between roughly 2018 and 2020. And one former cabinet minister is accused of accepting about 20 million won in cash and a luxury watch worth roughly 10 million won. While two other former lawmakers are suspected of receiving around 30 million won each ahead of the 2020 2020 general election. And police have not yet secured all the alleged physical evidence. For example, the luxury watch has not been found, but they are now analyzing financial records, internal accounting documents, mobile phones, and digital files seized during the raids. And investigators are also expected to summon key figures for questioning in the near future.
So Jacob says, oh, wait, these are the Moonies. And yes, in the Western world, they are often called Moonies because of the leader, the founder of the Unification Church, Moon. Yes, exactly. And so they call all the followers the Moonies and so forth. And so, yes, they are known. They are not exclusively Korean American specifically, actually. They're also, a lot of them in Japan.
Right.
They go international, and a lot of them are in the U.S. as well. But speaking of which, again, the Unification Church might sound very familiar for some, but unfamiliar for others. Why does this organization carry so much weight here in South Korea?
Well, the Unification Church, officially known as the Family Federation for World Peace and Unification, is not just a religious group. Over decades, it has built a vast network of businesses, media outlets, foundations, and international organizations, both in Korea and abroad. And even here in Korea, some people may be unaware that certain brands they've used, newspapers they've read, or schools attended by their neighbors' children are linked to the Unification Church. And because of this scale, the church has long been viewed as a group with financial resources, organized membership, and excuse me. I shouldn't have sung. And mobilization power. In politics, those elements can translate into influence, whether through donations, volunteer networks, or symbolic support. And this case has reopened long-standing questions about where religious activity ends and political influence begins, especially in a democracy that is supposed to maintain a clear separation between religion and state.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we've seen with very extreme religions, they are very much linked to political affiliations and so forth. And I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen the main headquarters of the Unification Church over in Gakpyeong.
It's like a castle.
Yeah, it's like a castle in the sky.
Yes.
That's how they kind of sort of made it. I think they call it Hanegung, right?
Yes,
like the Sky Palace or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot of money, and they go international. And probably you guys know about the big the wedding during the 88 Olympics, right? I mean, that's, all of that stuff linked to some of the buildings in Yeouido, all linked to that Unification Church. But that leads to our next question, which is about the reason why politicians from different parties, right, seek support from a religious organization that is more known for its infamy, right? It's not your typical religion.
Right.
Why are they so linked, and why are they seeking support from them?
From a political perspective, the motivations are fairly straightforward, even if the ethics are not. For politicians, especially during election seasons, money, organizational support, and voter mobilization are extremely valuable. And groups that are well-funded and tightly organized can offer all three. And from the church's perspective, cultivating ties with politicians can provide protection, access, and influence, particularly when dealing with regulations, taxation issues, or public inspection. And that's why investigators are focusing not just on whether money changed hands, but why, whether it was a one-time personal exchange or part of a broader strategy to build political leverage.
So unlike in the U.S., where lobbying is legal, right, you have certain companies that are donating millions of dollars and stuff to a certain politician.
Yes.
And here in Korea, it's very different. And so you're not allowed to do that. And so, I mean, come on, when you go into the election and you know that a certain candidate from a certain region is definitely going to win and you want their favor, you're going to donate money because it costs a lot of money to be a politician with all the election that's going on. And there's going to be a lot of bribing going on. But have allegations like this surfaced before, or I mean, this can't be something new, right?
No. The idea that the Unification Church has had ties to political power is not new. And over the years, there have been repeated rumors, testimonies, and partial investigations suggesting close relationships between church officials and politicians from different administrations. And what makes this moment different is the span and intensity of the investigation. This time, police are not only looking at individual politicians, but also systematic patterns patterns, whether money was given repeatedly, how it was recorded internally, and whether it was intended to influence political decisions or even elections. And there's also renewed scrutiny of earlier investigations and special prosecutors, including whether key evidence may have been overlooked in the past, and that aspect has added another layer of controversy.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if the Unification Church kind of, dipped in on the prosecutors and,
Right.
come on now, you see like a box of apples, no apples in there. Might be cash in there, right? I mean, so who knows how deep they're involved with this in the world in South Korea? But how's the political world reacting to all this?
Well, reactions have been intense and deeply divided. Both ruling and opposition parties have condemned illegal political funding in principle, but at the same time, each side is accusing the other of deeper involvement. And some are calling for a new independent special prosecutor, while others warn against what they describe as politically motivated investigations. And this has turned the case into not just a legal matter, but a political battleground, raising concerns that public trust could be further eroded if the investigation is seen as biased or incomplete.
But see, the way that they do these bribes, I feel like it's because, okay, a watch for $10,000, it's expensive, but it could also be small. It could be considered a small bribe. And so they'll just be like, I mean, come on, it's $10,000. It's a small bribe. Nothing is going to happen to you. And so they slowly doing this and they give you another watch.
Another one.
And they don't give you like $1 million, right?
At
it's
once.
At once. So it's like, it's a small one. And just do us a little favor
Yes.
is what they're doing. And you have multiple of this. And $30,000 might seem like a lot, but in the political realm, $30,000 might not seem like a lot. It seems like a small bribe. But it's these little bribes that add up.
Yes.
And so how many did they dip into is the big question here.
Right.
But beyond party politics, Seung, what does this mean for the public, though?
Well, for many citizens, this case strikes at the heart of political trust. It raises uncomfortable questions like, are elected officials truly acting in the public interest? Are powerful organizations able to buy access behind the scenes? And are oversight mechanisms strong enough to prevent this? And even before any final verdicts, the mere existence of these allegations reinforces public frustration with elite privilege, cloudy, blurred power networks, and accountability gaps.
Also, if it's like a quote-unquote small bribe, it's also kind of easier not to, reject it, right? You'll just be like,
Right.
okay, maybe this is nothing. And then the person who's receiving might think it's nothing, but it's not nothing. Very quickly here, what should we be watching next as the investigation continues?
Whether digital forensics and financial records can clearly establish how money moved and who authorized it, it's really important to keep a close eye on. And ultimately, this case is not just about past wrongdoing, it's about whether South Korea can strengthen its democratic safeguards moving forward.
Made It Up says the guy who assassinated Shinzo Abe had a grudge against the church, I think, because his mom gave so much money away. They went bankrupt. That's right. Like, used his college funds and all that stuff. And like I said, the Unification Church is very much involved in Japan.
Yes.
So Made It Up, you're actually correct on this. We'll talk
Especially
about...
under Abe administration.
Yes. There was some suspicious links to that, too. We'll continue to talk about other major issues happening here in Korea. But first, this is Super Junior with I Pray For You. One from the Unification Church came up to me and he said, I pray for you. I don't know. But again, for anybody out there, that, if you do a little bit of research, you find out about this church. They got a lot of influence on some big names. Second topic today, the end of the 6-month special counsel investigation to allegations of insurrection and treason charges linked to former President Yoon Suk-yeol. The probe, which focused on the controversial declaration of martial law, that on December 3rd last year, wrapped up yesterday with a final report, and it has already sparked strong reactions from both the ruling and opposition parties. Seung, what exactly did the prosecutors uncover, and who's been indicted, and why is this debate far from over despite the 6-month investigation?
The special counsel team led by Cho Eun-seok concluded 180 days of investigation into alleged insurrection and foreign provocation plots surrounding the December 3rd martial law declaration. In its final announcement, the team said it had indicted a total of 24 people, including former government officials, military leaders, and politicians. And most most notably, former President Yoon Suk-yeol was rearrested and indicted on charges of obstructing an arrest. And the indictment list also includes former Prime Minister Han Duck-soo, former Interior Minister Lee Sang-min, and former Justice Minister Park Song-jae, all of whom allegedly took part in meetings ahead of the martial law declaration. And lawmakers were also targeted, including PPP lawmakers Chu Kyung-ho, who is suspected of interfering with a parliamentary vote to lift martial law.
You're looking at the entire cabinet of the former Yoon administration possibly going to prison for this. Prosecutors went as far as clearly defining this as an insurrection. This is very important here because that carries a huge charge. What's the reason behind this?
Well, according to the special counsel, the investigation found that the former president and his allies had been preparing for the declaration of martial law since before October 2023. And prosecutors argued the goal was to maintain and monopolize power, and that martial law was not a spontaneous response to a crisis. One of the most controversial claims is that the group attempted to provoke a military response from North Korea through irregular military operations in order to justify the conditions needed for martial law. And that effort reportedly failed, but prosecutors say it shows intent. So in other words, the allegation is that Yoon Suk-yeol and his close aides were prepared to trigger a war in order to create a justification for declaring martial law, a claim that has shocked the public and sparked widespread outrage.
If you guys remember, there was that news of the drone in Pyongyang, right? I mean, it would be... actually, North Korea did send drones over to South Korea before, because that's North Korea. It was a spy drone.
Right.
It wasn't an attack drone. However, for South Korea to send drones over to Pyongyang, that's some dangerous stuff, right?
Right.
And so a lot of us were like, because I think there was like, what is it? At the time, the Yoon administration first said, someone said, yes, we did
South
it.
Korea,
and then they're like, oh, no, we didn't do it.
Right. Later on, Defense Ministry changed their position.
So that was very fishy. Yeah, it was so fishy how they kept on going back and forth with this.
Right.
And then now it might be one of those things where they wanted to trigger a response from North Korea so that they could, do a martial law, right? Another reason to do a martial law. But there was also allegations involving elections.
Right. Prosecutors claim that after the ruling party's defeat in last April's general election, the group attempted to frame the election results as fraudulent, allegedly blaming what they called anti-state forces. And the special counsel says intelligence offices involved in North Korea-related operations were reassigned to form an investigative unit, and the National Election Commission was seized immediately after martial law was declared. And this aspect of the case is especially sensitive in Korea, given the country's history with military rule and election interference.
I mean, it's the same National Election Commission that declared Yoon the victor of the presidential elections. But the investigation also ended with unfinished business.
Yes. While the team handled 215 out of 249 cases, 34 cases remain unresolved and will be transferred to the National Police Agency. And some key allegations, including parts of the foreign provocation charge, were not fully pursued within the time limit. And the special counsel will now shift from investigation to maintaining indictments in court, including cases involving senior military officials. Meanwhile, political reactions have been sharply divided. Democratic Party leader Chung Chong-rae praised the special counsel's efforts, but said many critical questions remain unanswered, including what he called the true motive behind the alleged insurrection. On the other hand, the ruling People Power Party strongly criticized the probe. Floor leaders Hong Won-seok described it as a political revenge investigation, saying it produced little, despite a massive team of 238 investigators and 6 months of work. But as we mentioned last week, according to a recent survey conducted by 국민일보, 6 out of 10 Koreans are in favor of launching a second comprehensive special counsel to address the December 3rd martial law case. And analysts say this reflects public sentiment as no court rulings have been handed down yet. And separate from the legal process, no one has visibly taken responsibility.
I don't know if you saw some of the testimonies that came out, but Kim Gun-hee, right, the wife of Yoon, And apparently got
It's all because of you.
really
You
upset,
ruined
right?
everything.
You ruined everything because of your martial law declaration. But there are some speculations that he declared martial law because of his wife. But where does this leave? Where does this leave South Korea now?
Oh, well, the legal process is far from over. Trials are just beginning, and unresolved cases could resurface through police investigations or a second special counsel. More broadly, this case touches on some of Korea's most sensitive democratic fault lines, civilian control of the military, election integrity, and the limits of presidential power. And whether this investigation is remembered as accountability or political conflict will largely depend on what the courts ultimately decide and whether remaining questions are answered transparently.
Guys, this is major, and oddly enough, it makes the whole Park Geun-hye trial look like nothing.
Oh, yes.
Comparatively, right? That was just like bribery charge, and we thought it was so shocking back then. But this is
Compared to this,
boy,
it
this
was
is so
nothing.
shocking. You get new stuff coming in every single day, and you're just like, oh my! Now you're just not even surprised anymore. You're not even surprised anymore. I don't know when this is going to end, but
That's
once it
even
all
more
ends,
scary.
it is. It really is scary. We're going to talk about other major issues happening the past 7 days here in the country, but first, this is Baby Monster with Psycho. Psycho.
Psycho. There are so many psychos.
We're not saying any, we're not naming anybody.
we're
We're
not saying
saying
you're
anything.
psycho.
It's just a good song.
Yeah.
It's a very good song. It's a very good song. It's the best song out there. Third topic. Oh, I've heard about this. What is it?
Have you looked at the number 24 English?
No, I haven't. But I
number
just heard
24.
overall the English part of the 수능 this year was just
Not only
really,
English,
really hard.
not only English, Korean, 국어, 수학.
I heard everything was very
Yeah,
difficult.
everything was difficult.
But again, this year's exam, the 수능 exam, the CSATs or the CSATs, the College Scholastic Ability Test that we talked about last month, particularly the English section is sparking quite a bit of backlash.
Yes.
Some are even calling the test to be abolished altogether. Controversy went global with major international media outlets reporting on the English question of this year's Suning. So you basically got all these English-speaking countries trying to figure out...
You're so U.S. citizen.
You guys speak American. They try to solve it themselves, but what went wrong this year, and what does this debate say about Korea's broader education system?
Oh, well, the controversy centers on the 2026 수능 English section especially, which many students describe as exceptionally difficult, 불수능, despite English being graded on an absolute scale. The New York Times, BBC, and several British newspapers introduced actual exam questions to their readers, asking whether they could solve them. And the New York Times even created an online quiz describing Korea's college entrance exam as notoriously difficult. And among the questions highlighted were passages involving a made-up compound word like a culturetainment, legal philosophy by Immanuel Kant, and abstract discussions about time, avatars, and virtual worlds. And according to the report, the percentage of students earning the top grade in English dropped from around 6% last year to just over 3% this year, the lowest level since the absolute grading system was introduced in 2018.
Guys, I mean, I haven't done this year's, but I've tried to solve previous year's Suning English
You got it
portion.
all right?
No, no. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
The reading comprehension part is not bad, but the grammar, I'm just like, dude, I can't answer it.
And also you have to solve one question in about 2 minutes.
Yeah. And
That's
It's-
very difficult.
guys, I'm telling
Yeah.
you, it's hard even for American speaking people out there. But again,
미국말. 미국말.
미국말. This didn't end with criticism, right?
No, the head of the Korean Institute for Curriculum and Evaluation resigned, taking responsibility for what was widely seen as a failure in difficulty control. And the Education Ministry has since launched a full investigation into the exam setting and review process, acknowledging that students and parents experienced significant stress. And officials admitted that the English section was far more difficult difficult and intended to the point where absolute grading functioned almost like a relative ranking, a 상대평가 in Korean. Yes.
Okay, and critics say this isn't just about one exam.
Oh, that's right. Many education experts argue this is a structural problem. When the exam is considered too easy, it fails to differentiate students. When it's too hard, it fuels privateering and overwhelms students. So the system punishes students either way. And one policy researcher pointed out that while the most difficult passages in Korean textbooks are roughly at the level of a U.S. middle school student, a significant portion of CSAT or Sunung reading passages are close to first-year university level in the U.S. So the gap inevitably drives students toward private education, not because they want to, but because they feel they have no choice.
Even math here in Korea. I mean, they're doing calculus basically in like middle school. And when I was in college and I visited and I showed them what math I do in university, my cousin who was in middle school at the time laughed at me.
you?
I was like, she was like, "Oppa, should I help you? Should I help you?" She's like, "Should I help you? Are you learning this now? You want me to help you, tutor you?" Oh
Yeah,
my God,
that makes sense. That makes
embarrassing.
sense.
But
Yes.
enforcement, though, before that, there's alternatives being discussed too.
Yeah, so the Seoul Metropolitan Office of Education has proposed a major shift starting in 2033. It suggests expanding absolute grading across all subjects and introducing descriptive and essay-based questions to assess problem solving and critical thinking. And looking further ahead, officials have been floated the idea of abolishing Sunung altogether after 2040,
Yeah.
citing Korea's rapidly declining student population. And Education Minister Choi Kyu-jin has also acknowledged the need for reform, but any final decision will be made by the National Education Commission, and progress has already been delayed due to political turmoil.
Yeah, I mean, my wife was talking about this over the weekend. She was like, "Yeah, they're thinking about abolishing in 2040," and I was like, "Well, then Aaron still has
Aaron
to take
has
it."
to take it, yeah.
But Loha doesn't have to if it goes through. And I don't know. Just seeing my daughter now, I don't think even if there is sooner, she's probably not going to take it. She doesn't seem like she doesn't seem like a studying type. But this debate.
She's going to be a K-pop idol.
Oh my goodness, please no. This debate extends far beyond high school, though, right?
Oh, yes. Korea's exam-driven culture now affects children at increasingly younger ages.
Seriously.
Last week, the National Assembly passed a bipartisan bill banning admission tests for preschool and kindergarten level English academies, 영어 유치원 or 영유 in short, often referred to as the age 4 and 7 exams, 4세고시, 7세고시. And experts have warned that such practices amount to developmentally inappropriate pressure and in some cases even a form of child abuse. While diagnostic assessments with parental consent are still allowed, the goal is to curb excessive early competition.
I saw someone brought in a camera, a hidden camera into like a classroom where the parents were waiting on the results of their 4-year-olds trying to get into certain English academies.
It was almost like Sunung.
It was almost
right?
like Suning. And I was like,
Yes.
are you kidding me? 4 years old. 4 years old. They should be
Man.
coloring Pokemon books and picking boogers and stuff. Why? I just never understood. I never understood this, to be honest with you. But again, we talked about how enforcement of all this is going to be very challenging. But kind of wrapping things up, what's at stake here when we talk about all this?
At its core, this isn't just a debate about exams or rankings. It's about what kind of childhood and education system Korea wants and whether constant competition truly prepares children for the future. Without structural reform and broad social consensus, critics warn the pressure will simply shift to younger ages, and the biggest cost will continue to be paid by the children themselves, students.
I mean, you can't be trying to solve low population and low childbirth without tackling
educational
this.
reform.
No, really.
Yes.
It's true. And so you look at the Sunik, it makes the SATs look like a joke.
I wish Sunung will be abolished before 2038. That's when Raoni turns 19.
But I thought he already took him. Isn't he already going to a CSAT 학원 right now?
Oh, That's a secret. That's a secret. Don't reveal it on air.
Anyway, big stuff happening, big stuff happening. Of course, Hyung joining us in our program to cover all this and more. Hyung, as always, thank you so much for this. Have a fantastic rest of your week. We'll see you again next Tuesday.
I'll see you next week.
All right, sending her out of the studio. Let's take a listen to a song from ENHYPEN with Fatal Trouble.